Here we go, and we will get started. So, as I said, you're here because you have been shortlisted for the Learning Awards. So, congratulations to everybody for getting to this stage. Today, we're going to go through, or Donna's going to go through the next stage of the process, which is how to create a winning awards presentation. And Donna is the founder of August Recognition, which is a top global awards agency. Donna's helped hundreds of people over the years to raise their profile and by achieving valuable awards and recognition for their achievement. So I'm going to pass over to Donna. Thank you so much for being here, Donna.
Thanks, Pauline. Fabulous. Wow, thank you for having me. And hi, everybody. Welcome today. It's nice to see so many of you here. If you're watching this on recording, then hello, whenever and wherever that is. Quick intro, just so you know who I am if we haven't met before. So, as Pauline said, I'm the founder of August Recognition, which is uh, a global awards agency. We support businesses all over the world to find, enter, and win awards. We're also part of the Dent Global Group, which is an organization that helps entrepreneurs to accelerate. And I'm a profile coach there. That's run by Daniel Priestley, who you might know from Diary of a CEO, if that's your bag. To watch that, we partner with lots of awards organisers to support entrants like yourself to do really well in awards. So, as Pauline said, fantastic that you're here because it means that you're in the finals. And I have judged this award now for I don't actually know how many years, but for the best part of a decade, I would say. And it's absolutely one of my favourites because when we get to the presentation stage, it's so lovely to meet everybody and to hear in person about your projects. But it's also really tough. So you're in a situation now where you're all in the final, you've got a level playing field, and this is your moment to really make a difference to what the result could be for you. Okay. So I'm here today to try and help you to understand the differences between a good and not so good presentation, what you can do to score more points, my experience of judging these, and if that can help you in any way. And so, as much as I've got a presentation to share with you, I think a lot of value comes out of the Q&A. So don't be afraid to ask a question. And you might think, oh, that's silly, but actually, probably someone else is thinking it as well. And if it's your first time presenting, then you're going to feel quite different to those who have done this before, presented before. So I'm here to answer all your questions, is what I'm saying. And we'll come to them at the end, but don't be afraid. So first of all, we need to start really getting ourselves motivated and thinking, well, what's the benefits of winning and why should I really worry too much about this or bother? Well, I don't want you to worry, but I do want you to put in maximum effort. So we know that external recognition builds credibility. We know that credibility builds trust. We know that trust reinforces loyalty and loyalty builds your authority. Now, whether you're a founder of an organization, a CEO, an MD, a head of learning, a head of department, a learning manager, no matter who you are, that matters to all of us, both for our personal opportunities and the business opportunities that will happen around us. Okay. So winning a learning award isn't just going to recognize what you've achieved, but it could really transform your future as well. Now, you'll see there's a little QR code at the bottom of the screen here. This is all the way through, but we've put together a presentation checklist for you. So if you want to download one of those, then please scan this along the way as well. And that will just help you to check in on your presentation when you come to doing it. So, what are we going to talk about today? So, first of all, we'll think about how to plan your presentation, how to choose your presentation tools, how to select a presentation team, how to create winning content, and how to present with confidence. And they're all really important to how you score in the awards as well. So, as I said, post your questions as we go through, and we will come to those at the end. So first things first, a bit of logistics. It's important that you know when and where your presentation is. So they're all taking place on Zoom and you will receive a link from the organisers to make sure that you're in the right Zoom room. You will have there's a selection of different dates on which the presentations are. So anything between the 10th and the 25th of November. If you've entered more than one category and you're finalist in more than one category, then you will have presentations on different days. So make sure you know which presentation is which and when you're going to be doing it, and give yourself time. So don't just turn up in the Zoom room at the time. Be prepared, come early. You'll receive directions from Pauline and the team as well on that. The presentation itself is 15 minutes to present to the judges and then up to 30 minutes Q&A. So um, the way that I like that to flow generally and I find is most successful is that 15 minutes is we just let you get on with presenting, and then you share your screen. If you've got video, for example, you need to make sure that sound's on. And then for 30 minutes, we have a chat with you. So we can get to know you a bit better. You might want to dig around a bit more into what you've told us about. There might be something that wasn't clear, or there might be something we're just really interested in. And we want to know more about you and your team. So that's our opportunity to do that. We do need to stay on time because we have presentations all day and there's a short gap in between them for the judges. So we will time that, but it's really just in the essence of fairness for everybody. So how to plan your presentation? Well, first of all, you need to think about, well, what is my presentation about and what category am I in? Now, if you've entered more than one category, oh, let's go back one. If you've entered more than one category, then as I said, you will have more than one presentation. Now, it might be that you've got the same project going into multiple categories, but what I think is really important to remember is you need to give each category your full attention and treat each presentation as unique in that category. The judges don't know what's gone on in another presentation or another entry into another category. We are judging our own category. So we're not cross-referring between them and we're not conferring with judges from other categories about the same teams or projects. So you need to deliver everything in to each category that you deliver to. And if, let's say, you have a presentation for best, I'm going to choose best use of AI in learning and learning technologies because they kind of correlate, then your presentations may be similar but not the same because they relate to different categories. So make sure you go back over the criteria of the category that you originally entered and make sure that you're going to be able to tick all the boxes for what the judges are looking for. I can tell you it's very rarely a shoe-in for anyone who's presenting. You've got a team of judges and we all have slightly different opinions. So we will score slightly differently to each other, we will think slightly differently to each other, and we will collaborate on, who we think ultimately is deserving of the win. But there's not often a huge gap between those that are winning and those that aren't. So really, if you're in that category, then you've got every opportunity to win. So in planning your presentation as well, you need to think about your setup, and we'll talk about your team in a minute. I just wanted to show you this because I always think it's quite amusing with this particular award, because the wonderful thing about learning and development is it can take so many different guises. And this was a presentation that a team did to us in VR. And this is me down here, and we were doing the actual judging in VR, so it was quite tricky. It was an innovation category, I think. So, but it just goes to show that anything goes, really. So if you feel like you need to showcase something in your presentation that brings it to life, then it would be really, you feel free to do that. The only thing I would say about that, so let's say you've got some technology or you've got a platform or an app or something going on that you want to showcase, then I would either bring that in as maybe a video version of it so that you can just play it and it's not going to interrupt your presentation and maybe just a minute worth. Or if you want it to be interactive, I would bring it into the Q&A part of your presentation. So you can go through your presentation, cover everything off, and then in the Q&A, if you want the judges to interact with something, you get interacting then at that point. So you don't hold up your presentation time, essentially. So from a planning perspective, you need to think about that. You also need to think about your tools. So over time, tools have changed for presenting, and sometimes people go with different ideas. Now, I've just put a few up here that often get used. So video, yes, video is popular, but don't let it be your whole presentation, because unless you've custom made it to cover the whole presentation, it will leave the judges with questions. So video can be used as a really good medium for getting across something that's going to be hard otherwise to get across. So it might be that you want to bring in your team. You can't bring your whole team to the presentation, so you're going to bring them in to give testimonials or customers. It might be that you want to show the journey of something, so actually you can show that with an illustrative video. Don't bring in just marketing videos because that's not really going to land anything from the criteria that you're showing. So make sure that whatever medium you use, it does meet the criteria. Prezi is something that sometimes people use. It's not used that often. It can be a little bit all over the place. You need to really be skilled in delivering in Prezi for that one to work well in a award situation, I would say, because you need to stay right on track and within time. PowerPoint or Google Slides, that's your easiest one, really. It's linear. The judges can follow it through. You can follow it through. People don't tend to get so lost, especially if there's more than one of you presenting as well. So that would be my recommendation from a tools perspective. However, the other thing to know is, we're not judging you on your presentation skills. That's not what we're here for. So sometimes people feel nervous if they don't normally do presentations. It's not part of their job, or maybe they're new to this, or they just haven't done one in an awards before. We're not here to judge how well you actually present, but obviously the more confident you are and the more you can engage with the judges while you're presenting, the easier your presentation will flow and the easier the judges will understand you. So if you do get an opportunity, have a listen to this podcast I did with Dominic Colenso. He's actually an actor, and he trains people to present. So he gave some good tips on there for presenting. But generally speaking, I find it's practice that makes a difference. So practice makes perfect, and you have the perfect opportunity to practice because this presentation is on Zoom, and so you can set up your own Zoom, practice to yourself. You don't even need anyone else on the Zoom, and record it and play it back. So you've got lots of opportunity to both learn it and to practice it as well. It also makes a difference who you've got in your team. So for example, just some nice examples of some winners from last year. So in your team, you might be thinking, gosh, there was 10 of us who delivered on the project. Should I bring everyone? I can't bring everyone, or should just 2 of us do it, or 1 of us, or 3 of us? How should I make it work? Well, let me just first reassure you that there's no difference in points or anything like that when it comes to numbers of people in your team. You can bring as many as you feel comfortable with presenting. However, you will have one slide deck that someone is moving through. So you need to work, if there's more than one of you, you need to be able to work together on that. And there's different ways of doing it. It might be that it's just you and you're going to present the whole thing, but actually you've got someone you want to bring to be part of the Q&A because they've got a lot to add into the question side of things. It might be that actually there's 3 of you in the team and you all want to partake in the presentation. So you might do a piece of the presentation each that's relevant to you. So you can think about it how it works best for you. Like I say, you're not going to be penalised for having more or less or anything like that. Obviously, so 3, okay, so you can have 3. 3 is probably more than enough because we've also got probably at least 3 judges in the room, so it's quite a lot on a Zoom screen as well. So you might want 2 of you, for example, to present and 1 of you just for questions, or 3 of you want to present, or just 1 of you present. But you can work at how works best for you. But let me encourage you to practice doing that, because on the day when people get nervous and things might go, slip a little bit, you've got to try and keep to time as well. So the more well practiced you are as a team together, the more cohesive your presentation tends to be. So do try and do that if you can. Obviously, we also completely understand sometimes things happen on the day and someone gets ill or someone has to take over. So if that is the case for you, don't worry about it. Just let the judges know and we will support you through that presentation. Okay. So, but it is important to think about the team. I would also encourage you to bring, for the people in that presentation to be the people who were very involved with the project. Sometimes presentations happen where someone's been asked to do a presentation who wasn't actually involved in a project, and it can be really hard for them to answer questions in that scenario. So, try and be kind to your team and get people to attend who will be able to answer the questions. So from a content perspective, people always say to me, oh, is there an ideal number of slides? How should we lay it out, etc., etc. And the thing is that all of your businesses are different and all of your projects are different. So there isn't really a stock way of doing this. It's the way that's going to bring out the best in your project that we want to see. However, I do like the structure of this quote from Aristotle, which is tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And that's just because it's a nice introduction to what they're going to hear about. telling them is all the details, all the presentation, and then a reiteration at the end of what you've done so well and why you want to, why you think you'll be deserving of winning. But as I say, there's not a maximum number of slides or anything like that. So some people like to have fewer slides, but they're more detailed and they spend longer on each slide. Some people like to have very simple slides and they whiz through those slides quite quickly, and that's how they like to present. We're not fussy as judges. We just want you to meet the criteria and tell us to the best of your ability all about your project, and then have a really good chat with you afterwards. Okay. So don't worry too much about that. As I said, if you've got video, then you need to make sure that that fits within the time frame that you've got to present in. We can hear it if there's sound involved as well. I also think it's really important in your content to think about the impact that you're having and how that's showing to the judges. So this is a concept that I use a lot and I really like from Aristotle's Modes of Persuasion, which is a philosophy around how to win an argument. So if you want to win the argument for winning, this is a really good one to use. So we start with logic and your logical impact. So thinking about that as why you do what you do from a really logical perspective. Why would your team need it? Why would your customers need it, etc., depending on who it's for. Um, then we move to values. So you don't have to move through these, but you want to make sure that they're combined. So this is more your emotional side of things. So this is where the human impact sits. This is case studies and testimonials and things like that, and stories to bring to life examples of what you've achieved and how you've achieved it. And then it's about bringing both of those together with evidence. Now, evidence brings your credibility to what you're saying. And without evidence of what you're saying, it's hard for the judges to really score you highly. So if you're in the final, the chances are you've probably already included a lot of evidence. So that's great. Now you need to bring that to life in your presentation. So by putting both of these together, you're going to have a much stronger chance of success. Now, evidence for logical impact tends to be quantitative, and evidence for emotional impact tends to be qualitative. So think about, is there a balance of that? Have the judges seen all of that in your presentation? Because it will help them to score you well if they have. I do always stick by this, and I think this is more where the kind of experience of judging comes in, is that they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I do think this is really, really clear in in an awards presentation, that as judges, the ones that really do really well, you never forget. You walk away with remembering. You always remember what their project was when they come up on stage at the awards. So think about how you're making the judges feel. Test your presentation on someone else. Test it on a colleague. Test it on a family member who doesn't know anything about what you do. See how they feel. What difference you're making in the world, and how you're showing that through the learning and development projects that you've achieved here on the day. Okay, so that's a little bit of a quick run through of things and some tips that might help you with your presentation. As I said, there's a QR code here if you'd like to download a free presentation checklist. You're more than welcome to. And that will help you to process that. If you're feeling like you need some support and you're a little bit lost, then do feel free to reach out. We obviously offer a service that supports people with this, just giving you some consultancy on how to do it, or what to do, or some advice on your particular project and how you can get that across as well as possible. And obviously, if you need to ask anything more privately or logistically, then reach out to Pauline and the team at the Learning Awards, because they will be able to help you with that as well. And if you want to hear more from us, follow us on all of the social channels. I'm best on LinkedIn, so connect with me there, because the other ones I never know what's going on with. But yes, you are available. Checklist available on the website. It's not on the website. It's I'll give you the link for it in a moment, though. I'll pop it on here so you've got a link. But otherwise, you can use the QR code. So I think we've got some questions, have we, Pauline?
We did have questions, yes, but I was going back to people in the chat. So I think I responded to a lot of them as you were
Brilliant.
talking. Just things around how many judges they can expect, how many people can present. There were some questions around the sort of criteria, which isn't currently up. We need to put that back on the website. So if you haven't
Okay.
got the criteria still from your submission, then I'll make sure that that's
But it
easy.
will be the same as your submission. So
Yes,
even
yeah,
if you go back to your draft of your submission, you should be able to see from there as well
yeah.
what that is, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the judges obviously will have read your submission, but obviously you cannot expect they're going to remember because they've also read lots of other submissions as well. So this is a
Absolutely.
chance, yeah, to highlight those,
Yeah, and also you might have been shortlisted. We might have read another 50 that didn't
yeah,
get shortlisted. So yeah, it is hard to remember them all on the day.
exactly. Kathy's just said, will we know in advance who the judges are? Um, and from my side, no, we don't tell you. And I know Donna, from hearing you speak about this before, I know you'd say, don't worry about
Don't
who.
worry about who the judges are. I'm just going to put the link to the checklist. There you go. So yeah, don't worry about who the judges are. It's usually a real mix of individuals from the sort of learning and development industries, as well as non. So really, it's about thinking about how can you present in a way that anybody could understand your presentation and anybody could see how well you're meeting the criteria because obviously judges get sick, things happen, we might have to move around the day and things like that. So we would hate for you to rely on it being a particular person. And also we our judge, we all agree that there's no conflict of interest or anything like that with the judging that we're doing. So we need to look very objectively at what you're doing, even if you happen to know us. Or anything like that, or we've met before, or we've judged you before. We are looking very much at that presentation on that day by that team, and how well it meets the criteria.
Thank you, Donna. Julie said, will they have the judges only have read the 300 word summary or the 1,000 words entry? So it's the
No,
whole.
we've read the whole lot. The summary helps us to summarize, and helps us to give sort of an initial score, but then we go deep into the entry and then we go through the whole entry as well.
Perfect, thank you. Zoe's asked, can we find out how many applicants there were for our category? Yes, I'll pop your name down, Zoe, and I'll come back to you on that because I'd need to have a look depending on what category it is, but I can certainly let you know that information. Sophia said, what happens if your project has progressed since submission? Can we include that in the story?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think it's really nice to bring that into the presentation and to say, well, look, when we submitted the entry, we were at this point. Now we want to tell you about the next part of the journey. It might be that that's quite significant change, or it might be that you've just got incrementally different results. So either way, let the judges know that because it helps us to see has there been for some of you that have entered, it's a project or a program that stopped now. Like you've done it, it's happened, it's about last year, and we're judging on that. For some of you, you're in the middle of it, or it just begun and you've got your sort of starting metrics, but now you're going to bring your next metrics to the presentation. So you're all at a very different pace. So yeah, absolutely. Tell us where you're at with it and tell us what's changed since the submission, as well, because it's great for us to see the progress.
Thank you. Katrina's asked, can we know how many finalists we're up against in each category? So yes, there's 8 shortlisted per category. So that's
Yeah,
how many
absolutely.
submissions overall were received. I think I've seen a few people ask that, and I'm going to jot down your names and get back to you individually. Safwan has asked, is there a risk of the judges being from a direct commercial competitor?
Well, the judges are all asked if there's a conflict of interest. So if they believe there is a conflict of interest, then they will declare it. In the realm of awards, and certainly in the realm of judging, and I mean, I judge a huge amount of awards. I declare a conflict of interest. So I obviously don't judge any categories where I've had a client in there. So I'm not judging them at all. In fact, it was really hard to find me a category this year. Um, but what I would say is, we're all professionals, so we're judging you against each other. We're not in there looking at other things. So, but if you've got a concern about that yourself, then obviously talk to Pauline about it. But I think if the judges had felt like there was a concern on it, they would have raised it.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, just going through, just lots of people asking around, knowing the numbers for their category, which I will manage. See if I've missed anything. I'll hold off just a couple more minutes, just see if anyone thinks of any. Can I
I
confirm?
think you must be all very prepared for your
Yes.
presentation.
Can I confirm the information shared is under NDA? That's from Kathy. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all ticked a lot of NDAs, signed a lot of NDAs. Absolutely. As I say, we're there to judge you for the competition, and that's what's important, and objectively against who else is in your category. So, and the history of this award, if you haven't entered it before, and I do a lot of work in the awards industry, is incredibly thorough and incredibly good. So, I think you can just rest assured that you're going to have a good experience. Your entry and your presentation will have been judged very objectively and very fairly, and you'll have a great night at the ceremony as well because it's fantastic. And it's always close. Like everyone here who's in that final has done brilliantly. And I can tell you, it's very hard, even when you're judging and you're going back through and you're like, oh, there's 1 point between this one and this one. We have to spend a lot of time thinking about it, so it is very thorough.
Thank you, Donna. I've seen a couple more questions. What is the most memorable presentation you've seen?
Oh, that's a really good question. Sometimes they're memorable for different reasons. So I've seen ones that are very funny, and that's memorable for its own reason. I've seen some that have tanked and everyone's forgotten what they're doing, and that's been memorable for its own reason. Personally, for me, I do cry sometimes in a presentation. I'd say that as well. Sometimes they're quite emotional because the impact of the work that you're doing is life-changing. And sometimes I personally love to see the human impact. So the difference, noted make Donna cry. It usually happens. It is actually about the impact that you're having, and that could be on your employees, on your team, on the industry that you serve in some way. So it really, it really does make a difference. And obviously, some businesses have a clearer, like, make Donna cry impact than others. If we're going to be talking about puppies, then there's going to be some crying. But, not everyone has that. And that's why it's really nice that we have a real balance of different judges as well, because we will all come at it from a very different perspective, looking for different things. And then it's up to us to put those different things together and see how well in combination that they meet the criteria. So, it's never as clean cut as it might look on the outside. And also, you'll all know now who you're up against in your the list of finalists that are on the website. Make no assumptions from that whatsoever. Literally, you could be the smallest company or the biggest company. It won't make any difference to that in itself won't make any difference to whether you've got a chance of winning or not. It's all about the impact that you're having and how you're delivering and proving and evidencing that. Okay, everybody genuinely does have a chance to win this award.
Brilliant. Thanks, Donna. Keelan has said, and I really hope I pronounced that correctly, are we able to include any interactive elements with the presentation? So posing a question, for example, prior to the sort of Q&A at the end.
Mm, I'm wondering what you're thinking of. What I would say is, because don't forget the judges are on a tight schedule, so we've got this period of time. We know that we have a system. Come in, do your presentation, we will then talk to you. I do think interaction is nice, but I think it works better in the Q&A bit, especially if you've got a platform or something like that you want the judges to interact with, because things just always take longer than you think they're going to take when you're interacting. And if you try and workshop the judges, and I have seen this happen, and it doesn't tend to work that well because you've got judges on the other side thinking, okay, I know you're trying to ask me stuff and get me to interact and involved in what you do, but I need to also hear this from you. So I would get out all the stuff they want to hear from you first and then do the interaction piece. We love interaction, like we want to interact with you, but we also need to really make sure that we cover off everything that you need to cover in the criteria. So I think that's the most comfortable way of doing it, I'd say.
Brilliant. Thank you. Julie said, do we know who is hosting the awards next year? And we do know, yes, Claudia Winkleman will be hosting. She's
Claudia's
great. If
great.
you haven't been before, then yes,
Ah,
we're
lovely.
due to attend because she is lots of fun. Katrina has said, what would be your top tip on what to avoid doing in a presentation or something you've experienced before that gave an immediate negative impression?
Okay, good question. Don't Sometimes there's a temptation to focus, I have seen this, more on what your competitors are doing than what you're doing and be negative about it. We're not really here to it's nice to know in the marketplace how you compare, obviously, and it's relevant and relative, but keep it relevant and relative. So we don't really need, you'll never win something by putting someone else down. Um, so I think that's important, keep it positive. And don't come in assuming you've won. And don't come in assuming you haven't won. I've seen both of those things happen. Oh, I'm here. I know we're not going to win, but I thought I'd better do the presentation. And I've seen, well, we've clearly smashed it. So, neither of those things are going to go so well for you. Um, so I think just coming in on an even keel. You don't need to give us gifts. We're on Zoom, so we're not getting them anyway. But just be you. Introduce yourself, tell us what you do, who you are, tell us about your team, and then tell us about your project. So just try and keep it quite neutral.
Thank you. I've had a question here. Do we need to give a demo of the platform, assuming that's someone who's maybe shortlisted for Learning Platform of the Year, for
You don't
example?
have to give a demo of the platform at all. If you can, then sometimes that can be useful. But I always think it's better to set it up first. So it depends on the platform, really. Is it something we can visualize and we might have experienced before? Is it something like really game changing and you really need to show us how that works? Is it visually really appealing so we can see, oh wow, that's fascinating. It also, if you are going to, like, if you need to log in and things like that, or you need us to have a login, you need to have that all set up beforehand because you won't have time dealing with that in the session. So sometimes when you're giving an example of a platform, it can be easier to give like a little video example. So you're just showing it happen as opposed to people having to try and get a login and get in and out and blah, blah, blah. And one judge can't do it because they've got a different system. And I don't know, these things happen. So I would always keep your technology needs at a minimum, let's say, because then there's less to go wrong in there. And just try and make it flow nicely into your presentation. But definitely there is time in the Q&A if you want to show that as well. Like if I have to download an app onto my phone in order to use it, I'm probably going to get in a pickle during a judging session.
Thank you. Cindy's asked, will you get feedback after your presentation if you're not successful? So the result after your presentation, you'll find out if you have been successful at the award ceremony itself. So that's the 12th of February. If you don't place gold at that point, then you can contact us and ask for feedback from your from the judging session. So it would be after the award ceremony that we were able to give you anything like that. And then I saw one here from Julie said, do you think to use our 1,000 word guide we submitted is a good approach to structure the content, including the impact values, evidence approach, or different approach?
Yeah, I think that if that works well for your project, then use that. It's clear to the judges what you're doing then. Different projects and programs work differently in different ways, so it sort of depends. If you felt like that enabled your project to flow while you were talking about it, then yeah, absolutely go for that.
And then a question around if you can run a video of the tools platform as part of the presentation,
Yeah,
which
absolutely. But if you do, don't make it more than about a minute or so because sitting watching is feels like it takes a long time. So keep it succinct, explain it, go into it explaining it, come out of it explaining it. Don't just try and let it speak for itself.
thank you. And then Surendra has asked, given the entries are from multiple countries around the world, are the judges across different geos and different industrial domains?
Yeah, there's a real mix of
Yeah,
judges. So it's luck of the draw who you're going to get on your category.
yeah, absolutely. And Sophia said, what happens if you can't attend the ceremony? I've actually had a couple of questions like this. You don't have to attend the ceremony. The judges have no knowledge of if you're attending the ceremony, if you've bought a table, if you've bought a ticket. They've got no idea. It doesn't make any difference if you attend the ceremony or not. We'd love you to attend. It's really fun to be there. But if you can't, it has no impact on where you'll be placed.
No, absolutely. And we genuinely 100% have no idea who is attending the ceremony or not. It's really, and even after the judging's all taken place, people will still be buying
Yeah.
places and things. So it really makes zero difference. The only thing I would say, putting on my awards agency hat, is if you're entering an award, then there's a reason for that. What is your reason? What is your goal? Is it to raise your profile? Is it to internally, externally? What is that? If you don't have one person at least representing your business at a ceremony, you are potentially missing out on some of that, good profile raising stuff that comes from it. And in the room on the day when people are announced as a winner, I will say the room does like to see somebody is there to collect the award because they've made the effort to go. So, you will feel like that if you can go and you see another brand not win but not be there, you'll think, well, I made all this effort and I didn't win. So I would say from a profile reputation perspective, I would definitely try and send somebody if you can.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And Cindy said, is it being live streamed? It's not being live streamed. It's in person only. So yeah, it's good to be there if you can. Okay, I think I've got through everything there. Apologies if I've missed anything, but thank you so much, Donna, for going through
You're
that.
welcome.
Yeah,
It was great. Good luck, everyone. Like, I know it's a bit nerve-wracking, but the judges are all lovely. We're all pretty experienced, and we are here to support you to get the best out of you. We're not here to comment, criticize, anything like that. We are here to absolutely get the best out of you on your presentation day. So please don't feel nervous about it. And if you are nervous, just tell the judges, they want to support you. They want you to have a really good experience. Okay?
thank you so much, and congratulations everyone for being shortlisted. And we
Yeah.
hope you do well in the next stage, and you're looking forward to it. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much,
Ceremony.
Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.